Thank you, and welcome back to Metal Gear Resurrections. I'm back with my co-host Jonathan.
Hello.
Last time we had like a quick abruption, and for this episode, the music of Metal Gear. This is part 2. We're gonna just like basically jump back in it, back into discussing about General Hummel and his how some of his new acquired men betrayed him, basically for the money. And going back into basically The Rock and discussing like parallels between that and what's gone on in the series of Metal Gear. So Jonathan, we were talking about that. Basically that scene where it's like the new acquired men have basically just forgotten like anything that they've learned from their past as career military men, and now become just full on mercenaries. Like they're just there for the money, and they don't give a shit what happens to the people there.
Yeah, this scene, among a lot of the scenes in The Rock the movie, especially because the movie's scored by Harry Gregson Williams, so a lot of the scenes, as I've watched the film, remind me of Metal Gear Solid 2, and especially this scene with the betrayal of General Hummel's character and his team, or the sort of kind of, I guess, like a falling of House of Cards, like or like sort of like I guess you would say like the destruction of his team being that because he was never going to actually
Yeah, he wasn't gonna go through with it. His bluff was the rockets.
Yes.
And he was hoping that Washington was gonna pay out.
Yes. And as soon as that wasn't gonna happen, then men in his team, men he was introduced to, now he gets sort of, he gets to know their intentions. That now they can. I forget the character's name. But Tony Todd's character and another soldier sort of reveal, they consider themselves mercenaries, and they want to get paid, and so his, him sort of kneeling to, not kneeling to U.S. demands, but sort of showing his cards that that he's not going to go through with it.
And it was like crazy because like when they first get introduced to like the new guys, it's like Tony Todd. He just comes in like with these like big ass like shades. Like,
yes.
He's like, I'm the cool motherfucker.
Yes.
Who just like is just like up your like crew.
Yeah.
And I forgot who it is. Like his right hand man is like that. I forgot the actor's name, but he's always that guy where it's like he's either like a Southern guy. Yes. Or like or a military guy, but he's always like that. He's almost like typecast as that guy.
Yeah, he was always typecast as like a Southern sort of jackass, or if it's not a military, some sort of not authority, but bad guy.
Yeah.
He had like one or two roles like that. I don't know what happened to the actor, but yeah. So they sort of reveal their cards that
Yeah, because they're like there to help. They're there to like kind of like bolster up the recruitment there, basically.
Yes.
Because like, well, from the beginning of the movie, like they lost. I forgot how many. I think they lost like the one guy.
Yeah.
That was in the weapons, like kind of like their room where they were storing all the rockets. They kind of lost him. I don't know if they lost anybody else, but they were basically they needed guys because like we're gonna lose guys because when they come at us. You're gonna have like the full force of like the U.S. military against like us who've now become mercenaries.
Yeah, so essentially they overthrow the general, and they wind up after the shootout, after a big standoff.
Yeah, it becomes like a standoff. Like David Morse comes out of nowhere. He's like, "What are you doing?"
And
I don't know the exact dialogue, but he was like, he says something where it's like, I think he was like, "Holster your weapon" or something like that. You're pointing that at a general.
Yeah, and you don't know David. Well, in the heat of the moment, you don't know actually.
Yeah,
where
like
David
where's
Morse
his
lies.
allegiance really? Is he with the money or is he with this guy?
Yeah, and you eventually find out that he's with the general, but winds up getting killed.
But it's too late by then.
Yeah,
it just becomes like, a kill zone where like everybody just starts like popping off and people are just like dropping like left and right.
Yeah. Yeah, it is sort of not a reveal of the true villain, but sort of like, I guess, sort of the main. I
Yeah,
guess
because
the main.
like I feel like Hummel's like he's like the big boss,
Yeah.
and the rest of like the other guys are kind of like the underlings, like people like under his command, are like mini bosses that you have to like kind of like battle to go up against him almost.
Yeah.
And it's like basically the guys that are under him are like starting to usurp and like try to like go after his power.
I guess it's sort of like the climax of the film, and sort of maybe not necessarily a reveal of like a true villain, but sort of like the plans haven't stopped. What's going, or the threat hasn't stopped. The threat is still very much in place of an attack.
Yeah.
And now that that someone else is taking over, now
It's gotten worse.
yes,
Yeah.
and that sort of that rings true into the scene of the film, and also compared to the other scene we're going to talk about with Metal Gear Solid 2. Sort of that scene as well. Sort of the threat becomes clear, and we sort of see the gravity of the situation. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like I think afterwards, like once like the shooting finally stops, and people start like clearing out or running like away basically, like then we see like Goodspeed, and I forgot Sean Connery's character. It's like it's on the top of my head. So I kind of picture it.
Yes.
Like his character's name, but it's not right now. I can't think. And they come in and they see like the general's like, I think he doesn't die yet. Like right? Doesn't he? Doesn't he like tell them?
Yeah, he tells them
Like where the last rocket is, because there was like they couldn't find one more rocket. I think.
yes.
And it's kind of like once you like get the reveal of where it is, you're like, oh, we should look there before like. Coming over here, all these like bodies are like strewn all around, and blood everywhere. But yeah, it's kind of like he's kind of like like in a way he's regretting like everything he's done to that point. It's gotten to that point now.
Yes.
Where he's like, oh, I shouldn't have done this. Like this is like the worst thing I could have ever done. It's like this is my big mistake now. This is what I'm gonna be remembered for. It's like because the only people that know what really happened are either going to be dead or or they work for the U.S. government, so they're not going to tell.
It's true.
Reporters like well, General Hummel at the last minute, he didn't want to like use the rockets and kill millions of people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like he'll be remembered as like basically the man who turned his back to his country.
Yeah, and that goes as we're talking about secrets. Being revealed. That was a theme that I didn't take note of, but I think is present in both the film and the game Metal Gear Solid 2. Well, in all the Metal Gear Solid series about keeping secrets. But I really just talking about The Rock. Like overall, like there was one part or near the end with at the end. Nicolas Cage's Sean Connery's character gives Nick Cage's character like I think.
Oh, are you talking about the location?
Yes.
Of the was it microfilm?
Yes.
Right, it was microfilm. Yeah, he gives him the location.
He gives him the secrets that he had that he was put in prison for or the people never found, and they just. I guess they just kept them locked away so that those secrets never could come out.
Yeah,
and I knew,
because what happened was like when he got captured, they know he's from Great Britain, right?
Yes.
He's from their military, but like everything else, like if you're captured, will disavow you, and once that happens, he's technically a man without a country, and even becomes more dangerous. And they kind of do that shady thing where it's like. They never gave him a trial. They never told him what the charges were. They just imprisoned him for his whole life, basically. Like, he does escape from, like, at certain points, they said.
Yeah.
Like, in his dossier, like, he does escape, but they always capture him because it's kind of difficult. Like, you're trying to evade entire country that's like on the hunt for you.
Yeah, and like this, the one thing or the one like sort of critique or what I didn't get at the time, I'm still not sure about is like why give Goodspeed those secrets?
Yeah, I think because like maybe at the end he saw that like he's not gonna capture him, he's not gonna hold him there.
No,
He's gonna let him free. So he goes like he's a man of his word. This is one person that everyone I've come across since like my capture has kept his word.
that's true.
That if I complete this mission, I'll be free.
Yeah.
And so I think once that happens and goes like, all right, he kept his word. I'm gonna give him something because I don't think he has any interest in it.
No.
At that point in his life.
No.
Maybe when he got first captured and he was still younger.
Yeah.
He would be like, fuck these guys. I'm gonna like take their secrets and like, well, basically, I think it was like they're saying like it's everybody's secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he was just gonna be like, I'm gonna like sell it to like whoever's like can pay basically, or bring it back to my country. But they disavowed him, so he probably might say like, you know what, forget them too. I'm gonna go sell it to the highest bidder.
I guess it's a way to keep, in a way, Godspeed safe. See, he has all those secrets, and so therefore, if he is essentially a threat.
Yeah, because he's come. Oh, it's Mason. It was Mason. That's who it was. Mason.
Yes.
He knows his existence.
Yes.
So maybe it's kind of like an insurance policy that like if they ever try to go after him or mess with him, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I got these secrets."
Yeah.
Which I feel like this could technically be like a spin-off to like the Disney movies.
Oh,
National Treasure.
National Treasure.
More secrets. Honestly,
Maybe.
like that could be like a major cash in.
Yeah.
You could have like two Nicolas Cages, two different characters. One's got the secret, and the other one's like, I'm trying to hunt this secret.
Yeah, maybe that'd be cool.
But I mean, other than the zaniness of that and zaniness of like Nicolas Cage, yeah, I kind of like see like the parallels between like the two games. It's like both game settings, both game and the movie settings, both take place on the island. There is a time. Everyone's on the clock basically.
Yes.
Like there's a demand. It's a ransom. Both have ransoms.
Yes.
Just one has like VX rockets, which is technically chemical weapons, and the other one would be. They say it's a nuclear weapon, but we all know it's Metal Gear because, surprise, surprise, it's the title of the game. There's a Metal Gear somewhere.
Yes.
It's not called Solid 2,
No.
Sons of Liberty. It's called Metal Gear Solid. So we know somewhere along the lines we're gonna fight like a mechanized walking battle tank. But this time for the second one, it's like an amphibious one that's like anti-Metal Gear.
Yes.
And it's kind of like that kind of thing. Like, once I heard that, like, once they said that in the game, and I was like, it kind of, like, made me flash back to, like, Terminator 3.
Oh, yeah.
Where, like, I think that, like, the TX was, like, I'm not sure if that was the correct
I think so.
model. It was, like, it was an anti-Terminator.
Yeah.
It's like, it goes around killing Terminators.
Well,
And I was like, wait a minute. Yes. I was like, when did we get into this area where it's, like, anti-this? So, like...
Oh, that's...
I'm assuming, like, if anybody... Because, like, for the second game, they said, like, everybody... The schematics went out there. Almost everybody has Metal Gear. So that makes sense that someone along the line's got to come around and say, like, well, I got a Metal Gear that could take on Metal Gears.
Yes.
But technically, couldn't all Metal Gears take on Metal Gears? Unless it was specifically designed... Because, you know what? This time, this one can go in the water. I can't imagine, like, Rex trying to, like... I don't think that could be submersible at all.
I mean, I gotta assume it has to do with whoever programs the machines.
Yeah.
Like, that just made me think of, like, RoboCop, because he has, like, a prime directive.
Directives, yeah.
You know? And so does, like, Ed 209 is, like... Well, Ed 209 is
Ed 209 is, like, a malfunctioning...
Malfunctioning robot
one.
Kills anything.
Yeah.
But RoboCop has his prime directive. He can't... there's things that he can't do.
Mm-hmm. I think because, like, it's a no-fail directive because it's, like... Technically, you still have a person in there.
Yes.
Because that 209 is like a full robot, so yeah, if it does glitch, there's no like kind of like human factor
there's
element
no
to like stop it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was trying to think, and that going back into it like with Metal Gear Solid 2, and it's just like the music is like so like there's like it's definitely different from the first one.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like the boss battles and stuff like that. Like I think every boss has like that music. I forgot what it's called. I think it was like something. It was something Dead Cell. I forgot the actual name of it.
Yes.
I'll have to look it up later. But like even that was like whoa. It was like because you're not playing Solid Snake anymore. You're playing Raiden.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you're playing a younger person. So it's kind of like all right, what kind of music would he? What kind of music would be in his boss battles against Dead Cell? And it's kind of like yeah, the music is like more like catered to like younger. Like because Solid Snake is older. So I can't imagine him like fighting like with that kind of music on.
Yeah.
I think he would actually like. I think he would break the fourth. What is it called? Like fourth wall.
Fourth wall.
Break the fourth wall and be like,
yeah,
this music's too fast. We gotta slow things down. But yeah, especially for like the character itself, it's like Raiden who like does his like sick move where it's like, it's not a roll, but I think it's called like a lariat. Lariat. I can't pronounce it, but basically he kicks around.
Oh yes.
He does like a kickflip almost kind of thing instead of like Snake.
Yes.
Snake does like a roll, like a run.
Yes.
Jump roll. Like
that's right.
Raiden's
yes.
like so like his body like more flexibility. Like you see him like move more like I want to say like fluid.
Yeah.
Especially since introducing him, he like is in the water.
Yeah.
But yeah, like going with him, like he's a young character. I would say like he's more tech, like just tech trained because like of the VR missions.
Yeah.
Here comes like it's kind of like almost like dance like club music for the bosses.
It's a little more. There is like a techno sort of feel to the music.
And when I first heard it, it has like a yell.
Yes.
I think it's called Dead Sea Yell. When I first heard that, I was like, what the hell is that? I was looking around and going like, is something going to attack me from the sky? Because that's what I first thought. I was like, is there like a robot bird coming after me right now? Because it's like, it doesn't like, it just goes like right into it. Like, ah! I think that's what it's like.
Yes.
It's like, and people can correct me. I don't give a crap. But like, and then it just like rocks into it. I was like, oh man, this is like, and it really goes with it with the battles. It kind of like, it gets you like amped up.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, let's do this. Let's go. I'm Jack. I'm definitely a new guy. Which, by the way, like going back into it, going back to the past, people were pissed about it. Yes. I wasn't. I enjoyed playing a different person because you know what? I didn't. I don't know. People. I don't know. At that time, maybe people were actually like, their fans were like even deeper than Metal Gear Solid 1 because there was Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake.
Yes.
But I didn't know those games, so like I only played Metal Gear Solid 1, and then going from 1 to Metal Gear Solid 2, I was like, oh, they're doing a little switcheroo.
Yes. At
first I was like, oh, maybe they'll do like a back and forth thing where it's like, you play as Raiden, alright, then you switch, you play as Snake, and just go back and forth, which I would have been okay with that. Like, probably maybe people thought that was going to happen, because like, you kind of saw like the trailers and stuff, you saw Snake a lot, you didn't see Raiden.
Yeah.
So I think like, maybe fans were like, oh, we got duped, and we got to play this guy. I was like, I don't like this guy, because he's kind of like, I want to say he's kind of like androgynous. Yes. And I think he was also like meant to be that way too.
Yes.
Where it's like, you gotta wait for him to talk to find out if he's a man or a woman. But it didn't really bother me. I actually enjoyed it, like being like this like young kid.
Yeah. Yeah, a new character and just related to it, but like as we were talking about, as to the music is different, but I think that has to do with Kojima, wanting to go bigger, wanting to go more cinematic, and this time around, he got an actual person that does film scores.
Yeah.
So he's going bigger. The scale is going to be bigger, especially now with with the PlayStation 2 and Metal Gear Solid 2 at the time, and so you're going bigger. But also there was also, besides being kind of, because there's always like an element of techno to the music of Metal Gear, but there's also like, and this was like, as I thought about it, it's kind of surprising, like Harry Gregson Williams, like he does there's an element of patriotism
to the music,
to his work, which is like,
because you get like
British,
that drums,
but if like it fits well. It does feel very like very respectful toward like military, um, you know, sort of like the marching bands and things like that. So it was very, maybe because I was thinking of like The Rock and the opening scene of the funeral.
Oh yeah, and it's like in the rain.
Yeah, so he's very, so even though he's British, he gets like the sort of military and U.S. sort of patriotism, like a theme. He has that he does it very well. And I see that, I feel more in Metal Gear Solid 2 because we have Williams this time around.
Yeah.
And also,
and I think there's actually like on the big show. Are there like, I'm trying to remember, like, are there U.S. flags?
Oh, you mean in Metal Gear Solid 2 on like?
Yeah, in the video game.
I believe so.
Or maybe I'm like thinking like there is and there really isn't.
Well, again, they were working on the game in 2001.
Yeah.
At the time, so you got to consider that there was elements of what was happening, 9/11 and at the time, and you have to consider that was, an element into the making of the games.
Like infuse a little patriotism for what happened.
What happened, but also I guess, you got to be aware of how you present the military, how you present, war. But yeah, so there's, for this time around for the game, it's bigger, scale's bigger, the music is bigger, and I felt more, Metal Gear Solid 2 feels more, and also it opens up, you're in New York, you're in the United States.
Yeah.
In Metal Gear Solid, you're far away, you're more...
you're still in the United States, but you're like in a remote area, like you're in Alaska.
It's very...
on an island.
Yeah, it's very...
It's almost like, what's the word, like, desolate? No.
Desolate, it's like desolate. It's like, it's almost like The Thing, except instead of the extraterrestrial monsters...
yeah, I didn't think about that.
You have, it's just bad military and machines, instead of an alien extraterrestrial monster. And you have to fight off, instead of just these aliens, you have to fight off fellow mercenaries and soldiers in one. So yeah, bigger scale in the second one, more patriotic, and I guess that's why 2 and The Rock, Metal Gear Solid 2 and The Rock, I found, they're like very,
what are you trying to say? Like, not parallels, but like kind of kindred?
They're very kindred. They're not that far apart in years, and you got the guy who did the score for the film on the project on this game. So yeah.
Yeah, I know he's done like a lot of projects, a lot of movies.
Yes.
But I only know him primarily for like the action movies. Like,
yes,
he basically have scored, and I was like, yeah, I know his music, and even if it's like, it doesn't have to be like even like top notch great, he can make it. His music will make it top notch.
Yeah,
make it better.
Yeah, and talk. I know it has to do with 2, and we're talking about Metal Gear Solid 2 and The Rock, so it's related. With Raiden, like, because me, I played 2, but mostly, with the Metal Gear Solid games, I played 1, I played 2, and then I played Twin Snakes. But I always started out, because I was young, I always started out as observer of you playing the games.
Yeah.
So for me, seeing Raiden, a new character, it was, it takes you back because you're expecting Snake.
Yeah, you're like,
because
what?
You play Metal Gear Solid 1, you're expecting, he's the main character. He's the guy you follow. It's like any video game. It's like, you assume because it's like association. Metal Gear Solid Snake. So therefore, you always think he's going to be in it.
In the title.
So it's like Super Mario. Mario's always going to be in it. Unless they, it's Super Mario.
Unless you get like
Mario
Luigi's
Brothers.
Mansion.
or Mario and Luigi, or Yoshi. So you assume that, and correct me, who do you start with first? Do you start with Solid or do you start with Raiden?
You start with Solid in
Solid.
the tanker.
Yes.
Tanker
okay.
mission.
Right, and then you go
Yeah.
right. So it is a sort of like a swerve in a sense, but I like it in that I like it in that it's making the world bigger and it's obvious because this, the world is bigger, and Kojima wants to make a bigger story, so he's adding a new character. So, you go bigger, and yeah,
Because I think this game became like the flagship for the PlayStation 2, right? It was like you were gonna buy the PlayStation 2 because you wanted to get Metal Gear Solid. It's pretty much like for the whole series. Like for him, up until I want to say Metal Gear Solid 5, where that became like you can get it on multi platforms.
Yeah.
And the top two ones, it would be Sony or Microsoft. But before that, it was almost like you could only get it on PlayStation, Sony products, because then you would get like they had other titles like Peace Walker, which was a PSP one, and Twin Snakes was a GameCube one. But during all that, it was pretty much like you want the Sony game system because here comes that next Metal Gear Solid game that you're gonna definitely want that he's making.
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of like there's pressure for that. Probably pressure from both ends. Like, hey, Sony's like, the next one's got to up the ante. It's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and about the character, I didn't hate the character. He's not my favorite character. I don't hate the character. And it's like comparing it to the film The Rock. Like Nicolas Cage is a fun character. He's not my favorite character. Sean Connery is
He's your favorite.
my favorite character in the movie because he's essentially just playing James Bond again. They just don't call him that. And he gets to have the fun lines and you get to see James Bond back in action. So yeah, and him Raiden being more androgynous, and I'm thinking you have that element in the Metal Gear Solid games, but also maybe it not necessarily has to do with, an element of sexuality is in there, but it also could be that as technology advances or ideas in military change, you have, Solid Snake, who's more gruff, very, disheveled looking, first modeled after Michael Biehn, and Michael Biehn's not necessarily, he's like he's in The Rock, and he's very much, Michael Biehn has played, military soldier many times, and he's perfect in the role.
Titles. I think a lot for like James Cameron, right?
Yes, he fits the look, and he plays it well.
He's like he's basically the prototypical soldier that can like infiltrate.
Prototypical soldier, and so with Raiden, he's sort of androgynous, but he's also he's white hair, right? White silver hair.
I think it's white or silver, but I don't think it's blonde.
So he's
maybe it's platinum. I don't know.
Not necessarily a blank slate, but he's sort of ambiguous.
Yeah.
He doesn't have it's almost like not blank, but it's very hard to identify. And so I think that's sort of like a smart move and for the military to have sort of like this person this soldier you can't identify, that can move, very quickly around, and and it's very fast moving, ninja like.
Yeah.
So
because then you'd be like, well, what did he look like? And then you're like, hold on, let me think. I gotta remember what he looked like. Wait, was he a he?
Yeah.
He moved pretty quick though, almost like a ninja.
And with Solid Snake is very different. You can,
The dude has a mullet.
yeah,
at
you
the
can,
second game,
yeah.
and he's like smoking, like chain smoking, like there's no tomorrow. Meanwhile, like when we first meet him, he got cut up by Vamp, so he's like, losing blood here.
Yeah.
Let me, how's he gonna save himself? Let me pop a cigarette in.
Yes. Solid Snake is like very. He has like a very. Although this is 2001, he's very 80s.
Oh yeah.
How he looks.
Yeah.
And with Raiden, he's more kind of like a futuristic sort of look, sort of. Not cyberpunk, but yeah, kind of like.
Kind of like in that tech world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very anime, very kind of like Blade Runner inspired. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like for like Solid Snake, it's like for him, it's like he's like I want to say like technology like doesn't scare him, but he doesn't get it.
No.
Because he's always like going like, what? How does that work? Huh? You do what? And it's like, dear God, man. It's like, do you know anything? It's like I want to say for real, like if he's like for Solid Snake, like if he was an actual real person, I don't think he'd even have an email address.
No.
I think he'd be like so low tech. He'd be like, I mail my letters.
It's very funny about Snake in that he's a military. He's property. He's a military and science property, and yet he knows nothing about science, or he's not an expert in that. He's an expert in being a soldier. That's what he knows.
Basically, yeah, an expert in kicking ass.
Yeah, that's what he's programmed to do.
And like taking down Metal Gears. But like for all the shit that Raiden gets.
Yeah.
I understand like the voice actor. No good. The things he's done in the past, I do not condone that kind of behavior.
Yeah.
But for the character itself, for Raiden, for all the shit that he gets, when you get to almost near the end of Metal Gear Solid 2, I think he like takes down like 20 Metal Gears.
That's
for
true.
the Rays.
No.
And like I'm thinking to myself like, wait a minute, how many has Solid Snake ever taken down? I was like, it's not close comparison of 20.
No.
And I think that's where it comes into like the whole for Raiden's like with his agility, his ability, and like the way he's been like trained. So it's like bam, 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 bam. Let's go, 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 go.
Yes.
Like let's not stop. It's very like frantic.
Yes.
And for Solid Snake, it's always like he's got to take a step back, reassess the situation,
Yes.
and then go forward. For Raiden,
Yes.
it's like you're in that situation, go.
Yes.
It's like no time to think, go. And the character does do that. He does do that. And then like for games after this, like for like when we see him in 4,
Yeah.
and then when we see him in his own game, Metal Gear Solid Rising Revengeance, there's more frantic, fast paced, like quick action.
Okay.
And then and same thing goes with like Solid Snake. Very not so much. I'm not on the tech side.
Yeah.
But when we get to 4, he has to rely heavy on technology.
Yeah.
To help him, because it gets to a point where it's like he can't do this all by himself anymore like he used to.
Yeah.
Like he used to be great at these things. Like he used to be great at infiltrating. And now it's like he basically needs a suit to help him.
Yeah.
And he also needs like a little tiny little Metal Gear guy to like kind of like go out there and like do recon and like pick up weapons for him and like get weapons for him. So it's kind of like that. It's like those two parallels where it's like one was like heavy into it, was like basically like born into technology, into that world, and basically trained with technology, and the other person like more analog, Solid Snake more analog, basically always getting his hands dirty right in the dirt, because that's the way he's been trained. Like he's not really like someone who's like gonna probably do VR training.
No. And
so that's where it comes to like my mind, like all those times where it's like you play all these games where it's like you have all this VR training for these games.
Yeah.
And there's always like these theories and stuff like that. A lot of people are like throwing theories like, well, oh, you're not really playing as Solid Snake. You're playing as Raiden playing as Solid Snake through these trainings. Like that's what these trainings would be for.
Yes.
Like it would be for him. That's where he goes on and go like, well, I had X amount of hours of like training in VR, and then Solid Snake's just got to be like, VR, huh? How about real life, kid? Where people bleed. It's kind of like there. It's like, yes, there is Raiden's digital and Solid Snake is analog.
Yeah.
And they do butt heads, but then at times they do play off each other very well.
Yes.
And yeah, like you were saying before, like you watched me play this game when we first got it, when it was first released, and I remember like I was playing it and we finally finished a tanker, and then this like it kind of like seems like at the end it's like Solid Snake went under the water and never came out. Did he die? Because yes, you go into like it was like 2 years later or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's 2 years later. It's like we time travel, and it's like some other guys like we see someone infiltrating the shell underwater, and then they're like, and then you see like the codec call, like it's like, oh, back to my comfort zone. Here comes a codec call, and here comes a colonel, and then it's like basically he's been given the code name in the beginning, Snake.
Yes.
And it's like, yes, this is me, Snake. I've infiltrated the base. And I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like my Snake.
Yeah.
Who's this Snake? And then from then on, it's like, oh, we gotta change your name because something might happen along the line where these snake things are an issue, so we gotta change you to Raiden. It's like, okay, I'm Raiden now. And the whole infamous, like, basically turning it into memes where it's like go to the node, and Raiden's like, did you say nerd? I was like, oh my god. We went from one guy that goes like, huh? What? Metal Gear. Pal card. Warm it up, huh? What? To like little like quippy lines going like, did you see nerd? I was like, oh Jesus. It's like this is what happens when you put a kid in charge. It's like we're all screwed. But yeah, basically, like, yeah, like, that's where I draw in from, like, the two parallels of the movie and the game, where it's like, I'm seeing Goodspeed as Raiden, and I'm seeing Mason as Solid Snake.
Yeah.
And it's almost, like, kind of like the same, because, like, with, like, going back to, like, Michael Biehn, who's, like, he seems to be, like, always that one guy, other than the movie The Abyss, where it's, like, he's kind of like the everyman, but in The Abyss, he was, like, he became, like, the bad guy. Where it was, like, he kind of, like, I forgot what it was, like, he had some kind of breakdown out there. Underwater.
Yes.
And he was just like, I'm going to attack everybody left and right with, like, these mechanized, like, underwater, like, mini-subs.
Yeah, well, I gotta watch... That's the one film of James Cameron's that I maybe seen once.
Yeah, not too many people
see a lot of. But I believe it's like alien sentient creatures that live in bottom of the ocean that these explorers have, like, a run-in with, I bet. I believe that's part of the story.
They're at a point, like, in the ocean, like, they're so down below, like, you can't really, like, no human can really go down there without the aid of technology.
Yes.
And I think, what was that? Like, I'm trying to remember, like, I think even Ed Harris is in that movie.
Yes, Ed Harris.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
they're both in
that movie, which was, like, going back to the Rock.
Yeah.
I think he only gets down there because it gets to a point where it's, like, he's either going to die in that mini-sub, or he's got to find a way to, like, whatever's down there can possibly help him.
Yes.
Which is, yeah, it's like, not too many people, like, I would say, like, either remember or know about The Abyss, other than, like, like, true, like, movie fans and people who, like, follow James Cameron.
Yes.
But, yeah, like, with Michael Biehn, it's, like, he's always portrayed as, like, basically the everyman soldier who can, like, who can try to get the job done.
Yes.
But, I'm going to go into the next song, and that was, like, Fortune's theme. Because, like, pretty much, like, for Metal Gear Solid 2, there are some good tracks. Like, there are other good tracks, but, like, Fortune, it's, like, the one that stands out, because it's definitely different from all the other, like, music from the game itself. So I'm going to play that right now.
Okay.
for Fortune was like out of all the people's like songs or whatever, like hers like sticks out the most for me, because like before they even we even see her. Okay, so technical difficulties there. Yeah, so I was saying like before like we even like see her coming onto the stage, as like the next boss. Is like basically like a it was like basically like an all out like gunfight on the bridge. Like we see the SEALs, like Ryan's like creeping up. He can see like the SEALs. They're like ready to try to rescue the president. And then out of nowhere, this music kicks in. And then we see Fortune, who I think is like holding like a modified like railgun.
Yes.
And it's just like no one can hit her. Like all the bullets are like they're like whizzing like all around her. Like no one can hit her. I think they even like throw a grenade at her, and it doesn't blow up. And then you get the infamous dialogue where it's like, "It's a dud," kind of thing. And it's like you hear this like kind of like beautiful, soulful, and like kind of like jazz. Like this should really like be like almost like in a nightclub kind of like music, where it's like I'm like looking at I'm looking at the monitor and like see her coming in, and I just think to myself like, of all the big shells in all the world, she had to walk into mine. The girl Fortune. It's like I know she's gonna break my heart. But yeah, like I'm trying like for her like it's also like a tragic tale. Like there is like beauty to the music. There's also like kind of like a pain like especially that goes to the heart. Like because for her character, like she's lost like so much. So like to lose basically her whole family, and then from what we know, like later on in the game, that she gets like they don't really like. It's basically a whole ruse where it's like she truly believes like she is the most unlucky person, even though her name is Fortune. She is not fortunate enough to be reunited back with her family because she cannot die. Like no weapons can kill her. Only to find out, like you know, fast forward when you get to the end, it's like it's all been a lie. It's been an actual like a device that's been like basically like not letting her get harm. And yes. I thought to myself like that is like the biggest gut punch. Like you could, I would just say like wait a minute, I could have died any time, but you've kept me alive for your own agenda, not mine. Because here we go again. Like we have a crew of villains where everybody is for their own thing. No, but they're not united. They may be not united for one cause, but separately they're all for their individual selves.
Yeah. It's really funny that like she's a tragic character, but then you think about it, like a lot of the characters in Metal Gear Solid, they have like tragic backstories, and I was just being you talking about her and looking her up and being refreshed about the character and reintroduced, and and how and her introduction, she's very it's very noirish. I was going to say femme fatale, but not necessarily femme fatale. She's very noirish, and how she looks is very anime inspired. Like to me, she looks like a black Psylocke, but that's more comic book. But but she does seem like
that outfit she wears.
Yes, and but with that music, it reminded me of like Cowboy Bebop. So it's very like anime influence, noirish. So and that's just I find that's awesome because like you do sort of like it's very evident that Kojima is like big study of film, big film fan, big a fan of cinema, and he just his influence. So you see anime, you see noir, and that goes with like the characters, like backstory, just about like how tragic these characters can be, and you see that with a lot of like villains or heroes in the Metal Gear Solid series. Like there's not one thing you can say about in the Metal Gear Solid series. Every villain and hero, they're very distinct. They have their own characteristics. They're inspired by different elements of film and piece of artworks. But yeah, they're very. You'll never find like one character that's like another. They're all very specific individually. Um, so yeah, she's just yeah, just you talking about her and being refreshed. She's a very badass character.
Oh yeah, it's like when we finally get to like the team up of like Snake and Raiden, where they're teaming up. Like it's like we're near the end, and they're like going up in Arsenal gear, and like the Tengu ninja soldiers like coming after you, and you know you're basically like not back to back, but like side to side with Solid Snake, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna like take these guys down. Then out of nowhere comes Fortune, where it's like it's kind of like a secondary boss fight that we never get to actually do ourselves at that time. And then it's like she's coming to like basically because she's been told that Solid Snake is responsible for the death of her father, which is not true, and we'll go into that as well.
Yeah.
And she's like she holds her ground no matter who she's going up against, no matter who you are. You could be whoever you are. She will stand her ground against you, and she basically is like, it's not coming to my mind, but she's like basically like like she's going after Solid Snake, and she's like you've killed people of my family. I'm fucking gonna come get you. It's almost kind of like it also brings to my mind of like the Princess Bride.
Yes, I was
where
gonna.
it's like
yes,
I
know where you're going.
Was it Indigo Montoya?
Yes.
And he's like, is that what it is? Montoya or Montoya?
Indigo Montoya. I think it's Montoya.
Montoya. And he's like, I kind of want her to say like I'm Fortune, and it's like I'm Fortune. I forgot her last name. You've killed my father. I've come. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank at the tagline now. It's like where it's like I'm Indigo Montoya. It's like you've killed my father. I've come for revenge.
Or I think it's prepared to die.
Oh yeah,
I
prepared
could
to
be
die.
wrong.
I'm trying to remember, trying to recollect that where it's like I kind of get like that like situation like when they're like seeing each other on basically in that battlefield right there where it's like Raiden. She doesn't even see Raiden. She only sees Solid Snake.
Yes.
And it's like Solid Snake is just like, it's like, you want death? Come and get it. I'll bring it.
Yeah.
And then we just like see, and he yells at Raiden like, go, I got this. And it's like, oh shit, like, and then we can like kind of like see and hear as Raiden's leaving. We kind of hear and see glimpses of that battle. I was like, holy shit, like that's probably like the best battle we just walked away from.
Yeah.
As Raiden. But yeah, for her character, I kind of also get like that, like, probably other people would be like, I see something else. But like for me, it's Princess Bride.
Princess Bride, I was gonna say.
Oh, did you find the line?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was looking up more information about Fortune. Her full name is Helena Dolph Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
But I was gonna say, like, if you want to go like classical,
yeah,
she's Achilles. In that, until it's revealed that very much so, like she has a weakness. Before you think that she's like this unstoppable, or she's like almost, she's fantastical. There's, nothing can touch her. But until it actually happens, and then she can be hurt, she can be killed, and Achilles, he's this great warrior until you find out, oh no, he can be hurt.
Oh,
he can be wounded.
Yeah, where it's like this unstoppable, like, warrior.
Yes.
That's going to take you down.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, oh, what was her last name again?
Jackson. Helena Dolph Jackson is full name.
She could be like, I finally found it. She could have been like, hi, my name is Helena Dolph Jackson. You've killed my father. Prepare to die. It's like, it could have been like that. Like, if I would have heard that, I would be like, throw my remote in the egg, like, oh my god, we just got a Princess Bride reference here. But yeah, like for her, like I like her character a lot. And then at the end, where it's like it's revealed that she is not, she does not have abilities.
Yes.
Well, she's told she doesn't have abilities, and she's basically being told like you're only alive because I revolver or. Yeah, he's Revolver Ocelot this time. He's not Liquid Ocelot. He's basically telling her, like, I kept you alive. And he, like, thinks that he throws a kill shot at her. and then she's like, she got hit, and we're like, oh shit, she's dead. Like she took a bullet to the chest, and then she's like back up again, and then basically before she dies, like the rays go crazy and they shoot rockets at them, right?
Yes.
And I think Revolver goes into the ray and shoots rockets at them.
Yes.
Because I'm like, it's all a jumble in my head. Like
Yeah.
I'm kind of like trying to remember what happened, but basically like in the last like kind of like her like last moments, it's kind of like she like wills the rockets away from them all, and it's like,
Yes.
holy shit, did she have abilities? Did she actually have abilities? Like, did she like actually will herself? It's kind of like because like that device was like not activated for her afterwards.
Yeah, it's an element of ambiguous. You don't necessarily know if this character is supernatural or not, and like they have a bunch of characters like that in these games where it's never explained exactly how they can do what they do. You can assume maybe they've been advanced in some technological way, but in other ways you think, well, how does science make someone vampire-like or able to float? It's not really
Or read your mind.
Or read your mind. It's never really explained.
Yeah, they kind of do that thing where it's like, as the series has gone on, it's like, oh, it was nanomachines, but it's like, I always go back to like that mystery, like that like for me, it's like that's the beauty of it all. Where it's like the mystery of not knowing how they got their abilities.
Yeah,
it's like we know what they can do, but we don't know how they can do these things. And for that, it's like I don't need an answer. Like just give me that. Like all these mysterious people.
yeah, and it's very it's very mythical. It's very like like talking about like it's very mythical legend storytelling where there's not really an explanation as to how these characters can do what they do. They just happen to do it, and the main takeaway is not their abilities; it's what happens, or the the moral at the end. What they can do is just for your entertainment, and hopefully you enjoy it. And she's a very badass and cool looking character, and very cool backstory and story to her.
And I think like for her weapon, it's kind of like they bring it back to like the fourth game, like kind of like callback where you actually do kind of like get like this like railgun after I think killing Crying Wolf in Metal Gear Solid 4. Where it's like it's kind of like callback to like Fortune and her weapon, where it's like it was like kind of thing like how would it be to like handle that weapon when you're not those people?
Yeah.
And then you kind of like get that opportunity to do so, and that kind of like, I thought that was a pretty cool thing. I was like, oh man, like that weapon looks so cool, because like when you first see her, like when you actually got to actually fight her, as Raiden.
Yeah.
I think that's like one of the few times where, as you're battling, damage occurs all around you because like she's trying to shoot you, and you can't hit her whatsoever because, from what we know, from then on, like it's not her ability is basically deflecting all weapons away from her, all bullets away from her, so you can't hit her. So it's like you gotta withstand this battle with your agility.
Yes.
And then you see like all these boxes and like containers being destroyed left and right. It's like, holy crap! Like I'm not gonna make it from this battle. It's like, what's gonna happen? Somebody save me! Where's Solid Snake? But yeah, like I want to like bring it back and like kind of like go back to like how this all began, like, and also like the betrayal that Revolver Ocelot is just doing left and right to all these people. So we're gonna go back to the tanker, and then basically like the unveiling of Revolver Ocelot's like plan, who is like basically like, I'm not with any of you, I'm with me. Screw all of you. This Metal Gear's for me.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a listen to that.
We, the Marines, will lead the charge into a new world order with Metal Gear Ray. That is all. Dismissed.
Excellent speech, my friend.
Who the...
Gift of the silver tongue. They say it's the mark of a good officer. And of a liar. Americans are too in love with the sound of their own voice to speak the truth.
Identify yourself.
I am Shalashaska, also called Revolver Ocelot.
What do you want?
This machine will be quite useful.
What are you planning to do? Steal this thing?
Steal? No, I'm taking it back. Nobody move. Understood? This ship now carries enough Simtex on its key structural points to blow it out of the water at the touch of this button. That's right. No one has to die needlessly. We're almost at the target. Get a move on.
What do you intend to do with Ray? Sell it on the streets?
I was raised in Snezinsk, formerly known as Chelyabinsk 70, the nuclear research outpost.
What are you talking about?
After the Cold War ended, my home was bought out by the Americans.
Is there a point to this sad story?
Now you would understand. Land, friends, dignity, all sold to the highest bidder, the United States of America. Even the technology that gave birth to these weapons is Russian, developed by us.
What do you intend to do?
Russia will rise again. And Ray is the key.
I regret to inform you that I have no intention of selling Metal Gear. As I said, I came to take it back. Yes, returned to the Patriots.
The Lale Lule Lo? How's that possible?
Ocelot, have you sold us out?
I was never in your employ, Kurlukovich.
Are you still in league with Solidas?
No hard feelings, Colonel. Mother Russia can rot for all I care.
Since when, Ocelot? When did you turn?
I'm glad you noticed, comrade. I abandoned her during the Cold War.
Ah!
Metal Gear only has room for one! Kurlukovich, you and your daughter will die here.
Damn you!
Sergei, looks like you were long overdue for retirement.
Traitors! Stop!
Show's over. If you wish to live, I suggest you run now. This ship is still in the lower New York harbor. You may yet make it to shore if you swim for your life.
It's been a while, brother.
Who are you?
You know who I am.
Liquid?
Not so young anymore, eh, Snake? You're drowning in time. I know what it's like, brother. No wonder Naomi passed you over for the Fox Dive program.
Ouch!
Get out of my mind, Liquid! The price of physical prodigy. Few more years and you'll be another dead clone of the old man. Our raw materials are vintage, brother. Big Boss was in his late 50s when they created his copies. But I live on through this arm!
Liquid's on.
Have what it takes after all! You're going down, Snake, with this tanker!
All right, so going back, like for between the game and the movie, you were saying, go ahead, Jonathan.
Yes. I was saying that, yeah, for me, like, these two scenes, for in the beginning of Metal Gear Solid 2, the reintroduction of Revolver, and then sort of, and this, the movie scene, the Rock Hummel's death, they're very parallel, for me, they're very synonymous with one another, because they're both betrayal scenes. Although this scene with Revolver is in the beginning, and the betrayal scene in The Rock is more, it has to do with the climax of the movie. But in this scene, it's we get, just like in The Rock, we get a clear idea of what the actual threat is, which is, well, it is Revolver's plan, Revolver and Liquid's plan, and it has to do with taking Metal Gear Ray and using it against the United States, and so so they so I was saying that we get a clear idea of the threat, which is, I keep going back. Well, that's what this episode's about. The sort of the connections between the film and the game, and so we get a clear idea of the threat. There's in the scene, there's betrayal. We're introduced to Revolver and his team with Galukovich. And thinking about looking at it now and thinking about it back then when I first watched you playing the game.
Yeah,
I thought Galukovich was going to be like this another big bad of the game, and and then he winds up getting, easily sort of like dismissed and killed off in this scene. So it was kind of like, it's an interesting sort of like, not well, yeah, kind of like a sort of like it's not a rabbit out of the hat, a trick, if you will, because you're thinking that he's going to be another big bad that Snake is going to face, another big villain to face, but then he gets killed off, and then we sort of get to see that not the true villain, but the true, as I was saying, the true plans of Revolver and Liquid, and that taking this weapon, and it's very similar to The Rock, where we have Ed Harris's character who never planned to actually attack the U.S. or drop the weapons in San Francisco or in Alcatraz, and here it's a little different in that Metal Gear Ray is actually a product. Well, the U.S. is presenting as a weapon. The U.S. is going to use Metal Gear Ray as a weapon. So, and we as an audience playing Metal Gear Solid 1 know that that's not a good idea. But in a way, and looking at it now, it's kind of like, whew, thank God we have it. We're going to be using it. There's a sort of like an element of that sort of relief. Well, the good guys have it.
Yeah.
So what can go wrong? And then, and then Revolver Ocelot shows up.
That can go wrong.
Yeah. And so there is this, Revolver, reveals himself, and then, quickly they take over the naval ship. They overthrow the U.S., the military, and I think it was, yes, because it's Fortune's father, the Colonel Jackson. That's he begins, the scene introducing the weapon.
Yeah.
And he's sort of, and he's not from how he speaks, because I'm thinking about it, like, I'm thinking in two ways. In that, how did I see it when I first saw the game, and how do I see it now? That character is not necessarily a villain. He's just a general, and he's in command of this ship, and he's presenting, this weapon that we, the U.S., now have, and now quickly that's sort of nicked because Ocelot shows up, and he comes with his soldiers, and it's believed to be almost like a Russian takeover, but it's very quickly. Things happen very quickly. Okay, U.S. has Metal Gear Ray. No, now actually Russia has Metal Gear Ray. No, now actually there's a team, or there's a terrorist team within the Russian military that actually want the machine for themselves. So it's very quickly a series of betrayals that happen. And so, we get the, Revolver first is, seems very pro-Russian, and then, which is weird, because I don't think, although he does have, Russian pride, it's not very relevant.
Yeah.
In, the first game. So it's a little weird that it starts out, and the second one he has that, but then it's quickly no, actually, I'm doing this for myself. And there's sort of this question, well, because it's revealed that Liquid is actually, or Liquid's hand is now a part of Revolver. He now has Liquid's hand, so now we know that Liquid is a part of Revolver. And those two entities are now clashing within each other. So it's very unclear who's in charge or whose plan this is. Is it Liquid that's wanting to do this, which makes sense because he wants to do what he didn't get to do the first time around. Taking Metal Gear Ray and basically starting a war. Or is this Revolver wanting to do this? It's not it's never really made clear. But yeah, I just, it's, I love the scene. It reminds me, just the music, reminds me of The Rock. You can it'd be interesting, if you switched and you put, music from Metal Gear Solid 2 in The Rock, and then you put rock music in Metal Gear Solid 2 in those two scenes.
And how it would play out.
How it would play out.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting, but, yeah, so you have this, sort of, no, you have this betrayal scene, and then, General, the General Jackson is killed off, and that gives, years later, Fortune motivation, and then, Lukovich killed off, and that adds to his daughter's backstory as well.
Well, that's right. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
You have these two daughters, where they're basically they're on their own trajectory, but both fueled by revenge.
Yes.
For the loss of basically family members. Yeah.
Yes.
I was trying to think. Yeah, for this scene, I would say like it's also kind of like an announcement.
Yes.
That like we're like, it's not just Revolver, it's Liquid and Revolver.
Yes.
And now that Liquid's back, now it's like we don't know what's gonna happen. It's become like where we kind of like know with Revolver, like there's always a plan, there's always a method.
Yes.
To his plans, like it's never like, it's not built from chaos.
Yes.
But like for Liquid, most of his plans were like kind of like built from rage. Rage against his father, rage against the genes that he was cursed with, and rage against for basically being lied. I mean, well, we know he's being lied to.
Yes.
And what he thinks is the truth.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Liquid doesn't have, like, he's not like Joker-like in that he doesn't have a plan, but it seems like he's very emotional in the moments. And so, like, and you hear it in this scene where, as he's talking with his, he just, Snake just is there, and he very much, as soon as he knows he's there, like, oh, I'm gonna kill him off.
Yeah.
So it's not very. He does have a plan, but there is a sort of like. He's very emotional. As things go on in the scene and in the series, when things happen, and especially with his brother involved, emotions do get the best of Liquid at times.
If only he had somebody to train him, like, hold back those emotions, like don't bring it like out so much.
Yes.
Like kind of control your rage.
Yes.
Like maybe you would have been kind of successful in what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't play out for him that way.
Yeah. And
for this scene, I always think back like when I first played it.
Yeah.
When I hear Liquid's voice come out of Revolver's mouth, I was just like, I first thought like my game broke. I was like, uh-oh, my PlayStation 2 is broken. It's like the game, like this new video game just destroyed it. And then like as this scene going on, I go like, it's very like, not only daunting but kind of scary to hear his voice coming from that body.
Yeah.
It's like those two don't go together.
Yeah. And
it's kind of like, uh-oh, here's Fright Night. This is the part that's scary because like all chaos is breaking loose. I think at the time like he does blow up the ship. He sets up the explosives, so the ship is sinking as like he's making his escape. Everybody's freaking out. Soldiers are trying to like basically escape from that room that they've been all locked in. There's bodies around from like Revolver's like basically like shooting skills, like taking out Glukovich and his men, and from all the chaos, then we hear like Liquid like emerge, and it's like, oh shit, like what the fuck is this? For me, it was like, are we gonna have another boss fight right now? It's like, is he gonna get in this raid? We're gonna fight in this room as like I'm trying to like not drown myself, and it kind of also like goes into like play like with this new Metal Gear, where it's like this new Metal Gear has to be built this certain way in order for like to do these things.
Yeah.
It's like it's amphibious, so it's gonna go underwater. It's gotta be smaller compared to Ray.
Yeah.
In order to have like basically to do these like things that you wanted to do, like basically escape from a ship.
Yeah.
From the bowels of the ship, and then I noticed like for this scene, it's also like when Revolver's like arm twitches, where it's Liquid's arm, when it twitches, at first like you kind of hear like this like electric energy.
Yeah.
And I always thought to myself, like when I first heard it, I was like, is he gonna have like electric powers and just shoot me with a bolt of lightning where I stand? And then when I go back into it and think about it, but like, is that what is that sound? Is that the sound of like Liquid's nanomachines kind of like blending into Revolvers and trying to take over?
Yeah.
Because then like it does break down where he's like, get out of my mind, Liquid, go, get out of here.
Yeah.
And then I know like later on they do like talk about like how there is like some kind of like it did like mess up with Revolver, but they didn't say to what extent. And then they go into like, oh, he did X, Y, and Z to make himself believe that Liquid was alive in him, and that it'll come out and emerge when Solid Snake was in the vicinity. Which is like, how does that even work? Probably because like they go back to like, oh, it's all the nanomachines. They can detect one another, detect when you're in the vicinity of each other, and then that's what like switches off.
Yeah.
And it's like I kind of like want like the Mr. like this basically this dead person come back to life, kind of like almost like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Where it's like I don't know what compelled Revolver to take his ex boss's arm. It's like, you have money, you could like maybe I don't know take it from like a newly fresh cadaver or someone you would have killed yourself. No, I'm gonna take this guy's arm, which by the way it's like it kind of looks weird. It's like a younger, buffer guy's arm in an old person's body.
It's very it stands out when you see it that like
when it comes out of
like
nowhere,
this
like
thick.
It's like whoa!
Arm,
it's like there's a
part of this older man. It's very weird. But yeah, the scene. It's very. As you were saying, talking about playing the game, how are you going to have to face, a Metal Gears, and so soon, and it's very, in a way, the game is it's a very actually true follow up to the first one, because like if you just played, especially at the time when you're like fans of the game, just. Oh, you hear Metal Gear Solid 2 is coming out. Oh, let me keep playing Metal Gear Solid 1. And so you're playing Metal Gear Solid 1, you finish it, and then you get on to 2, and you're like, it's almost a very much follow-up, very like oh, you beat the machine, and now, oh, you got to face another machine, like right at the beginning. And it's a very good actual sequel, follow-up to part 1. And also, it's very... knowing that there's a new machine, new threat. It's very and not just the machine, but you also have Liquid and Revolver. So like it's scaling things up, and that's it's like another thing about Kojima doing this game, and that you're doing a new system, and you want to bring more. Cinematic themes and elements to this game, and you're upping the ante again, because now you don't just have you just don't have one villain, you have another villain, so and those two clash, so you got to assume that Revolver has his own plans, Liquid has his own plans, so now you're facing this villain that you can't sort of predict, because if it's one, you can predict maybe what one wants. But you have these two clashing with each other sort of chaotically. And so now you have this threat in part 2. And so like it's a bigger threat. And it's more, I guess, unpredictable in a way, because and you're right at the beginning, so you don't know where this is going. You know that Revolver gets away with the machine. So where is that heading? So it's a very cool scene, and it's very more epic, because you have to up the stakes, and it's funny because I'm comparing these two scenes, with The Rock, and that's more of the climax of the film, and this is just the beginning. But it's very, it keeps you on edge, and it keeps you guessing, and both scenes are, I remember them well because they're very, because the music is very, as we talked about a little bit, it's very operatic, and you have the element of with Williams, you have this sort of, he does it, very well. The sort of patriotic theme. He did it in The Rock, and he does it here, and you have like, and it's done well. In that with General Jackson, Jackson, he's a character you're introduced to, and and they do a good. The voice actor and how the story plays out, it does a good job in that you care about this character you just met. You don't know too much about. He's a U.S. soldier. He had these plans to use these machines. At this time, you gotta assume, in the U.S., you gotta assume it's for good, but then that's, and those plans are, cut down by Revolver, and even, you even feel sorry for Lukovich, because, like, you think he's going to be a big bad, and then he's cut down by Revolver as well. So you have, like, these sort of, like, characters that don't know what's coming, these tragic characters that don't know what's coming, and it's very similar to Ed Harris's character, where, he has this plan, and, he doesn't know that, or he has an idea that his soldiers and his crew, they don't all see eye to eye, but he winds up getting, killed by two in his group, and it's very, tragic. He doesn't get to, his plans will never be truly known why he was doing what he was doing. People just assume he was just a terrorist. And it's sort of like here with these characters, with General Jackson, Lukovich, their plans or what they intended to do is not going to happen. It's cut down by Revolver's plan, and they're just two great scenes that I love, and I've loved looking back on.
And I would say it's also kind of like tragic for Lukovich, because he's kind of like told that by Revolver, it's like, I'm going to kill your daughter as well once I'm through with you. And like, just to have that in his mind as he's like slowly dying, his last words being his daughter's name, and just drowning in the water because he can't do anything. He's fatally shot, and a person of like, not a young man, but like, somewhat advanced age.
Yeah. Like,
not going to recover from that. And his like dying thoughts and words is about his daughter, and hoping that, that does not come true. And that's just like also another like thing, like, when I go back to like these two women that like basically their lives have been altered and basically turned from like what was going at that time probably good to worse. Yeah. Like they're like, we don't know what their lives would have been afterwards if their mission would have been successful. Albeit these characters never cross paths. They'd be like totally alternate lives.
Yeah.
But the fact that Revolver, his own plan was to like intervene and steal Metal Gear Ray for himself. Kind of like sets of a chain reaction of like what goes on with Olga's life, giving birth to her daughter, and her daughter being stolen by the Patriots, and as like a bargaining chip to keep tabs on Revolver Ocelot, and then for Fortune, her life also being, like basically taking a skew from what was going during her time, and the tragedy that struck her, then being kind of like made into like almost like a pawn. Like you're a person who's fortunate, and you're never going to be able to like find death until you find the worthy opponent to bring you back to your family.
Yeah. And
it's like the tale of tragedy of these two women. It's like it's kind of like heartbreaking.
Yes.
For them, and it's all like kind of like because of Revolver Ocelot and his plans, which we never come to find out until like it starts like happening.
Yeah.
It's like we never like, he doesn't do like the whole like supervillain monologue thing where he'll tell you what his plans are. No, you're just gonna have to like wait till he does it himself.
Yeah, the plans are sort of revealed as things keep going along, and and I think another reason why I find a connection between the scenes is that, although one takes place in the beginning, they're both climactic scenes, and that we don't know necessarily what's going to happen next. In The Rock, the person we believe to be the villain, that we know is not really a villain, is cut down, and then so what happens now? We have now this element of mercenaries have this weapon. So what are they going to do? And now in Metal Gear Solid 2, Revolver has this weapon. Well, what's he going to do with it? Or what plans do they have? And especially in Metal Gear Solid 2, Snake, he has sort of like, he falls in the water. We don't know what happens to him. It's like, what's going to happen to Snake? We're thinking we're following this character this whole time. Well, what's happening? So this is sort of like things are up in the air. After these scenes, things give this feeling of being up in the air. We don't know what's necessarily going to happen. Both scenes, well done. Yeah.
I think we'll take a pause here, and then kind of like throw a tease like for part 3, because with like all these games, there's just like there's so much story to tell with the music itself as well.
Yes.
So we're gonna like throw a little teaser out to you guys, and just like of what we're gonna discuss next. So let's take a listen.
What a thrill, with darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill, I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart, but you're so supreme. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. Someday you go through the rain, and someday you'll feed on a tree frog. It's ordeal, the trial to survive for the day we see new light. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. I'm still in a dream, snake eater.
All right, and that I was gonna say like a chunky teaser. We're gonna go into like more into the music of Metal Gear. We're gonna go with part 3, and I'm gonna bring in some like parallels, especially with like Snake Eater. It's like very Bondish, like the game, the music, and it's like not a parody, but kind of like an homage to it.
Yes.
And like similarities to the Bond series, especially with the last film with Daniel Craig. It was like pretty much like you've taken elements of Metal Gear Solid and brought it into this franchise.
Yeah.
So we'll do that, and that's that for this episode. I want to thank everyone to listen. If we messed up anything, or if we goofed, or misnamed or whatever, you can at me. I don't care. This way I can know for my mistakes. I'm known to have many mistakes, and to be called out and corrected would be great, because that's the only way you're gonna learn. If you mess up, hey, this is a little goofy did. Here you go. Here's the thing you should have known. And I want to thank you, Jonathan, for coming back, my co-host, my brother, for this episode. We're gonna have part 3, and I'll definitely tweet out when we're gonna do part 3 after we're done recording and everything, and kind of schedule it up. So I want to thank you again for coming on, and I'm gonna put all our information so this way if anybody needs to contact us. But if you know your Twitter handle, you can throw it out there.
Yes, I'm at JLF_89. You can find me there on tweeting my wrestling takes, and being now this co-host of the show. Every now and then I'll tweet out, when I'm a part of an episode, I'll tweet a hint or a theme about the upcoming episode, and I'm excited for going into Metal Gear Solid 3 to be refreshed into that, but also look into the connections between the Bond series as well. I'm excited about it.
And especially if you're also tweeting it your thirst traps for wrestling, the wrestling movies. I noticed that too.
Yes.
I was I'll throw it, sometimes I'll go in there, but naughty. So definitely tweet at us, DM me if you want. I'll put the information of the show's information, especially email, or just wherever you want to do. If you can, subscribe, rate, and review on any platform you download this from. Thank you for listening. Intro and outro music is done by Fingers, who does great work. I love his music, and especially check out his new album, Lost Levels. And definitely, last but not least, but definitely check out your local library, especially if you want to not just take out books or anything, but they definitely have great programs, especially with the summer coming on. If you got young ones that have a long arm list of books they gotta read for school. I don't know if they still do that anymore, but also programs for kids and toddlers. They definitely have a lot of things for the whole family, and not just programs for literacy. Check out your local library. They definitely do need the traffic. This way they can get the funds that they need. It's something that's I don't think it's really talked a lot about, but definitely from my lifetime, I spent a lot of time in the libraries. And I want to thank everyone for listening. Have a good day. See you later.